Hello, Leo, the universe is speaking to you, and you didn't land on this video by accident. If you clicked on this, it means your soul is ready to rise, and starting May 9th, 2025, you're entering a once-in-a-lifetime cycle, 7 years of incredible luck. Not random luck. Not fleeting moments of fortune. But a powerful, divine alignment that's about to rewrite everything you thought you knew about your purpose, your abundance, and your identity. Here at Eternal Mindfulness, we're not just here to predict, we're here to awaken. To help you remember who you truly are, a radiant soul born under the light of the sun, destined not just to shine, but to lead. Let me ask you something, Leo, have you been feeling it lately? That silent inner voice? That restless energy stirring deep inside you, urging you to step forward? To stop dimming your light for others? To stop carrying everyone else's expectations and finally live your truth? If you've been feeling a shift, if you've been quietly waiting for a sign, this is it. Astrology is the divine blueprint. Tarot is the mirror. Numerology is the code. And today, everything is aligning to say one thing loud and clear, Leo, your time has come. So I invite you, just for these few minutes, to breathe deep, open your heart, and let the energy of this moment speak to your soul. Because this isn't just a reading. This is a cosmic reminder that your life is not meant to be ordinary. It's meant to be legendary. And before we dive in, I want to take a sacred pause. Let me offer my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every like you leave, every comment you write, every time you subscribe, you're not just supporting this channel. You're becoming part of a growing family of awakened souls who are ready to step into alignment with divine timing and create real, lasting transformation. You being here? That's energy. That's destiny at work. So let's honor it. If you feel that spark within, if you sense this message was meant for you, go ahead and drop an angel number in the comments right now. Whatever number appears in your mind first. That's your personal code. Your confirmation from the universe. And trust me, dear Leo, you'll want to stay until the very last second of this video. Because what's being revealed today, it's not just hopeful. It's not just inspiring. It's the kind of message that can change the entire trajectory of your life, if you're ready to claim it. So now, take a breath. Open your spirit. And let's begin this journey, not just of prediction, but of awakening. From the moment Mercury enters Aries on May 9th, something ancient and powerful awakens within you, not just a planetary shift in the sky, but an ignition in the very core of your being. This is not about change imposed from the outside. It's about remembering the fire you were born with, the sacred flame that has always lived in you, even when you forgot how brightly it once burned. For Leo, fire is not just an element. It is the essence of identity. And when cosmic forces like Mercury align with the fire sign energy of Aries, it becomes more than a time to act. It becomes a call to return to your natural state of boldness, purpose, and radiant truth. This chapter of your journey is about peeling away the layers of persona you've carried for others, the caretaker mask, the performer's crown, the smile that hides silence. You've played roles that were never yours to begin with. You've softened your voice to keep peace, downplayed your needs to avoid conflict, and let others take center stage while dimming your own light for the sake of harmony. But harmony at the cost of self is not peace. It's quiet suffering. The image of the Fool in tarot is not one of ignorance, but of courage. It represents the soul's leap, the moment you stop asking for permission to begin again and instead, trust the silent knowing that you must. The Fool steps forward with nothing but instinct, heart, and trust in something larger than logic. And isn't that exactly where true transformation begins? Not in certainty, but in surrender to your deeper knowing? Energy, when repressed, doesn't disappear. It calcifies. It becomes anxiety, frustration, fatigue. This is why the moment Mercury strikes Aries, your energy may feel restless, almost volcanic, as if your inner fire has grown too large for the container it's been trapped in. Don't suppress that feeling. Don't label it as impatience. See it for what it is, pure life force asking to move. And here lies your opportunity. To let go not with resentment, but with clarity. To stop trying to be liked, and start choosing to be real. When you write down what no longer serves you and burn it, you are not engaging in superstition. You are performing a conscious act of release, a gesture of purification. Just as smoke rises and disappears into the ether, so too do the ties that have kept you bound, once you decide they no longer define you. There is a quiet wisdom that teaches, when you truly let go, you don't lose anything. You simply make room for what's already meant for you. You do not need to chase validation, nor explain your shift to those who only knew a version of you designed for their comfort. Growth is rarely convenient for others. But it is always necessary for you. This isn't about sudden rebellion. It's not about becoming louder, more dramatic, or seeking applause. It's about coming home, not to your past, but to your essence. The part of you that never needed to prove anything. The part that remembers what it feels like to be free. Let this be your soft revolution, not with noise, but with presence. With breath. With one conscious step away from what drains you, and one step closer to the truth that lights you from within. So, as we move forward in this reading, carry this flame gently but boldly. Let it show you the places in your life where your silence has gone unnoticed, and where your truth now longs to be heard. This is your beginning. And beginnings are sacred, not because they are easy, but because they are honest. As Mercury shifts into Taurus on May 23rd, the energy around you begins to slow down, not to halt your momentum, but to ground it. What was once fiery and impulsive in Aries now seeks rootedness, stability, and sustainability. For Leo, a sign known for brilliance, charisma, and creative power, this marks a crucial turning point. It's a moment to ask not just, how brightly can I shine, but what am I building with that light? Because true power isn't about the spotlight alone, it's about what you sustain when the stage goes dark. This is not merely a period where money flows more easily, it is a lesson in mastering the art of stewardship. The King of Pentacles in the tarot does not symbolize wealth for its own sake, but wisdom in how that wealth is cultivated, protected, and used with discernment. He doesn't chase status. He doesn't perform for applause. His strength lies in quiet mastery, in knowing that power is not about accumulation, but intention. And this is exactly what the universe is inviting you into now. Your energy, Leo, is radiant by nature. But even the sun needs the earth to anchor its warmth into life. Without grounding, even the most magnificent flame can burn out or burn through. So this is your time to look at where your energy has been leaking. Perhaps it's the subscriptions you forget to cancel. The emotional spending on things that briefly distract but never truly nourish. Or the people in your life who rely on your generosity without offering reciprocal respect. These are not just financial habits or social dynamics, they are subtle drains on your life force. Begin noticing not only where your money goes, but why it goes there. Every purchase is an exchange of energy. Every investment reflects a belief. When you start to approach your finances from this perspective, something beautiful happens. You stop spending to prove your worth, and start circulating money as a reflection of your inner value. One of the most powerful teachings on prosperity is that security doesn't come from having more. It comes from needing less. And needing less isn't about scarcity, it's about clarity. When you know what truly supports your well-being, mentally, emotionally, physically, you realize how little you actually require to feel whole. The gold isn't outside you. It's in the way you treat your time, your attention, and your presence. In this phase, consider creating what I call a soul budget. Not just a list of expenses, but a realignment of your priorities. Ask yourself, what are the things that truly enrich my life? Is it a quiet evening alone, nourishing food, a book that expands my view of the world, time with someone who makes me feel safe to be myself? These are your true currencies. And just like with finances, the more intentionally you allocate your inner resources, the more abundance you attract, not because you're chasing it, but because you're becoming it. Visual tools help, too. Earth tones like copper gold, soft olive green, or deep clay brown can reinforce the feeling of trust, containment, and support. Surround yourself with textures and colors that make you feel safe in your own body, because safety is the first layer of confidence, and confidence is the silent magnet of prosperity. Above all, let this be your new mantra: I do not need to earn my worth through struggle or status. I am valuable because I exist, and what flows to me reflects that truth. From this place, your relationship with money transforms, not as a measure of self, but as a sacred channel through which your light becomes tangible in the world. And when you move from that place of clarity, Leo, you don't just shine. You lead, with quiet authority, grounded wisdom, and the unshakable grace of someone who knows they are already enough. When Mercury enters Gemini, a powerful shift occurs, not just in the stars above you, but in the way you carry your voice, your image, and your truth into the world. Gemini energy is quick, fluid, and innately expressive, and with Mercury, its ruling planet, activating this frequency, the time has come for Leo to step into visibility, not for attention, but for alignment. The fire within you, once ignited and grounded in purpose, is now ready to reach others, to ripple outward, to connect, inspire, and reshape how you are seen. But this part of the journey is not about performance. It's about resonance. For too long, many Leos have been conditioned to speak what others want to hear, to fit into the expected mold, to be charming instead of clear. But clarity is power. There is a quiet strength in saying exactly what you mean, without drama, without decoration, and without apology. Communication, when rooted in authenticity, doesn't just inform, it liberates. It calls people home to themselves because it reflects someone who has come home to their own heart. This is where the magician enters, not as a trickster or illusionist, but as a reminder that your thoughts, words, and presence are tools. What you express, you shape. What you declare, you attract. And what you share, when done with sincerity, becomes a bridge that others are brave enough to cross. There is no need for perfection here. In fact, the more human and vulnerable your message, the more it will land. Vulnerability, contrary to what we've been taught, is not weakness. It's a form of truth that cannot be manipulated, and people feel that. The digital world, your community, even casual encounters are now becoming spaces where your voice matters more than ever. This isn't just about building a following or curating an image, it's about asking yourself what you want to be known for. Not as a title, but as a presence. Do people feel seen after talking with you? Do they leave conversations with more hope, clarity, or permission to be themselves? That, Leo, is your real brand. There is an ancient teaching that says when you speak from the place of direct experience, not from theory, not from borrowed wisdom, but from your lived, felt truth, your words carry a frequency that penetrates illusion. That kind of speech doesn't require a stage. It doesn't even require volume. It only asks for stillness inside and the courage to be transparent. So now is the time to rewrite the narrative, not only the one others hold about you, but the one you've internalized about yourself. The one that says you need to be perfect to be heard. The one that says your voice only matters if it's polished. You don't need polish. You need presence. And the world is ready for yours. Try this, write something real. Not for likes, not for applause, but because it needs to be said. Something you've never voiced before. A belief, a story, a message you wish someone had told you when you needed it most. Put it out there. Let it breathe. Because chances are, someone is out there quietly waiting, hoping, that someone like you will say it first. As Mercury continues its journey through Gemini, your conversations become spells of renewal. Your connections, if chosen wisely, will mirror back the parts of you that have been growing silently in the dark. And the image the world sees? It's not a projection. It's a reflection of the work you've done, the truth you've chosen, and the light that no longer hides. Not to be praised, but to be real. And that, Leo, is where your power multiplies. After finding the courage to speak with more honesty and show up more fully in your truth, something subtle begins to shift, not only in how others respond to you, but in how you begin to see yourself. Communication, after all, is not just about words, it's about energy, about resonance, about the invisible thread that connects one heart to another. And as Leo steps into this space of open expression under Mercury in Gemini, the universe begins to reflect that clarity in the realm of relationships, community, and reputation. Your voice, once restrained, now starts to ripple outward, and that ripple carries not only sound but intention. Every time you express yourself from a grounded place, you are setting a new tone, not just for others to hear you, but for your own life to echo in harmony. In the natural order of things, nothing exists in isolation. Just as a single flame lights another without diminishing its own light, your act of self-expression becomes a quiet offering to the world, an invitation for authenticity, for vulnerability, and for connection based on mutual recognition. There's a profound teaching in this, that the more clearly you see yourself, the more the world begins to respond to that clarity. And yet, there is no need to force this recognition. You are not here to prove anything. When your voice comes from presence rather than performance, you don't need to convince anyone, you simply embody a truth that speaks for itself. In this stage of your journey, you are called to redefine what influence really means. It's not about how many people applaud you, but how deeply your presence impacts those who cross your path. True influence arises when your words and actions are rooted in integrity, when what you say is not just clever or pleasing, but aligned with your inner knowing. And this kind of alignment has a quiet power. It builds trust. It plants seeds. It calls in the right people, opportunities, and situations without you having to chase them. There is also a deeper kind of listening that begins to emerge here, the ability to hear beyond words. When you are no longer preoccupied with being seen, you begin to truly see. You hear what is not being said. You notice the gaps, the tensions, the longings in others that mirror parts of your own inner world. And from that place, you learn to respond, not to fix, but to reflect. This is how conscious relationships are built. Not through control or performance, but through mutual recognition and presence. One of the most liberating realizations on this path is that you don't need to speak loudly to be heard. You don't need to impress to be respected. You don't need to dominate to be seen as strong. Instead, you can embody a quieter kind of power, the kind that holds space, that listens well, that only speaks when there's something real to say. This kind of communication doesn't drain energy. It restores it. In this cycle, Mercury's presence in Gemini invites you to simplify, not just your words, but your intentions. To release the pressure to be everything to everyone, and instead become someone clear, present, and consistent. The kind of person others can trust because they know what you stand for, not because you declared it, but because you lived it. And as you live it, you will find that your reputation begins to shift, not as a curated image, but as a reflection of the inner order you've cultivated through deep self-awareness. Keep showing up. Keep speaking only what you know to be true. And when in doubt, return to silence, not as a withdrawal, but as a space where truth can rise without being forced. That is the kind of presence that doesn't just echo, it endures. As the year progresses and Mercury moves through Leo, Libra, and Scorpio, the energy becomes less about external movement and more about internal alignment. What began as a spark of self-expression now deepens into embodiment. The journey inward and outward merges, inviting you, Leo, to undergo a quiet yet profound metamorphosis, one that touches not only how you appear to others, but how you see yourself. This is not a change for approval, applause, or validation. It's a return. A homecoming to your truest self, wrapped in the kind of love that doesn't demand perfection, only presence. When Mercury enters your own sign, Leo, it's as if the cosmos hands you a mirror, not to critique, but to witness. This is your chance to see yourself not through the lens of societal standards or personal insecurities, but through clarity. You are not here to become someone else. You are here to remember the beauty of who you've always been underneath the roles, the striving, the image maintenance. This is what the Empress reminds you: beauty is not performance. It is presence. It is the grace that radiates when you feel safe in your own skin. And you don't have to earn that feeling. You only have to allow it. In a world that constantly pushes us to look outward for worth, this season invites you to become your own muse. To shift from asking, "How do others see me?" to "How do I nurture myself, body and soul?" This is where true attractiveness is born, not from trend following or comparison, but from devotion to the self as a living, breathing work of art. When you paint, dance, stretch, sing, not to impress, but to inhabit your body fully, you begin to move like someone who belongs to themselves. And people notice, not because you're chasing attention, but because you've become magnetic through authenticity. Judgment comes next in this sequence, and with it, the quiet reckoning of what no longer fits. You may find yourself letting go of habits, identities, even relationships that were built around a version of you that no longer feels true. This isn't rejection. It's release. Just as a snake sheds its skin, just as leaves fall to make room for new growth, your letting go is an act of renewal. And in this process, forgiveness becomes vital, not just for others, but for the parts of yourself you once abandoned just to be accepted. There is no growth without compassion. No rebirth without softness. As Mercury journeys into Scorpio, the star lights the path forward. After all the shedding, there's a quiet stillness. A clarity. You no longer need to chase a vision of who you think you should be. You begin to remember who you were before the world told you who to become. That remembering is the gift. That is where your real light shines, not from effort, but from essence. And it's in this space that you become luminous in a different way. Not just radiant, but restorative. Not just attractive, but grounding. A presence that reminds others they, too, can return to themselves. There's a teaching that says the highest form of love is knowing how to be with yourself as you are, not as you wish to be. When you write a love letter to yourself, not for anyone to see but for your own heart to hear, something unlocks. A subtle shift. A deep exhale. You stop waiting for the world to reflect your worth, and instead become the mirror of your own belonging. So when you wake tomorrow, Leo, don't ask what the world wants from you. Ask yourself what would feel loving today. Say your name with reverence. Dress in colors that reflect your aliveness. Move your body like it deserves joy, not just function. And above all, remember this: light doesn't ask for permission. It simply shines. And so do you. You've just traveled through the contours of a 7-year vision, Leo, a vision of luck, yes, but more than that, a vision of liberation. Of living, finally, as the fullest version of yourself, not the one shaped by fear or by pleasing others, but the one shaped by inner truth. The journey ahead doesn't require perfection. It doesn't ask you to have all the answers. It only asks you to be willing to choose yourself, again and again, even when it's uncomfortable, even when your voice trembles, even when the world hasn't caught up yet with the light you already carry inside. There's no crown to wait for. You've had it all along. And now, the question isn't whether you are ready, it's whether you're willing to stop hiding. Whether you'll finally pause and ask, what have I been postponing simply because I didn't believe I was enough yet? And if you let that question land, really land, you might find that all along, the only thing left to do was begin. So Leo, will you begin? Will you stop shrinking for people who were never meant to see your greatness in the first place? Will you stop waiting for the world to understand your fire before you allow it to warm your own life? You don't owe the world an explanation for your glow. You only owe it to yourself to shine. Not because you're trying to prove anything, but because your light is needed, exactly as it is. Right now, I invite you to pause, take a breath, and ground all that we've explored today into something simple but sacred, your intention. Drop it in the comments below. Type the words, "I choose to live in my light." Or share the first angel number you see, the one that keeps whispering through your day. That is the energy signature calling your next chapter forward. And if you felt even a small shift today, a moment of clarity, of truth, of yes, that's me, then I invite you to hit like. Not for me, but as a signal to the universe that you're ready. Ready for more. Ready to claim the life that's been waiting on the other side of your fear. And when you subscribe to this channel, you're not just staying connected to forecasts or readings. You're joining a soul family, a circle of light carriers just like you, who believe in destiny, in healing, in doing the brave work of becoming. Your support doesn't just keep this space alive. It keeps the ripple of awakening alive for others too. So here we are. At the end, and also at the very beginning. A new 7-year cycle. A new era of self-worth, clarity, and soulful abundance. The stars are aligned. The door is open. The only question left is, will you walk through it, not as someone waiting to be chosen, but as someone who finally chooses themselves?